Here we are recording the class now. So I was telling you, what is that in a moment of the video, Eckhart Tolle says, I'm quoting you because he's imitating our talk, our self-talk. And what is to quote? A quote, this is another word that we can use as a verb or as a noun. Here he's using it as a verb. I'm quoting you. A quote, what is a quote? Es una cita. We can say, this is a quote from Yogananda, for instance. And we take a quote from a phrase of one of his books, for example. Entonces, cuando él dice, I'm quoting you, es porque está diciendo, estoy diciendo lo mismo que dicen ustedes. Yo estoy repitiendo lo que hacen ustedes. Okay. Well, and this is another this question is very usual in English. They say, what's the point? What's the point? It's not working. What's the point is, it's nonsense. It's the same as saying this. It's nonsense. O sea, no tiene sentido. ¿Qué sentido tiene? What's the point? It's nonsense. This is another way of saying the same. And it's not working. Working, you know that working, it's also a verb that has two meanings. To work no es solo trabajar, sino when something functions or not. It's not working, no está funcionando esto. Well, so then we are going to see a bit more, but first we are going to watch the video. So I will share the screen and let's see at least. Okay.
It can be a more playful thing where you simply look around and acknowledge the presence of what's around you and feel your own presence in the background. It's not a serious business now, I have to practice presence. No, just don't even call it anything. Just be at ease in the present moment. There's only this moment. Don't try to be present, just be at ease in the now, and then look around and sense, and it's fine, and then thoughts come. Don't have to stay there. No, and then thoughts come, and thoughts go around your mind for a few minutes, and then again you take some steps and you're present again, walking from here to there, making a cup of tea, looking out of the window, and then thoughts come again. So you intersperse the day or your life with presence. And also when you're traveling, either, no matter when you go to work, wherever you go, whether you walk or drive or use a bicycle or use a train or use a bus, it's a wonderful opportunity for just go within and be present as you travel. Whenever you're waiting, just be present. There's no effort involved at all. The effort is not being present, is more effortful. That's where all effort arises. You don't use willpower to be present, just an arising alertness. Don't demand that it should be there for long periods of time. That's frustrating. And then you say, oh, it's gone. I can't do it anyway. screw it. I'm quoting you. And that's the mind talking, not the presence talking. It's the mind saying it's useless to be present. It's too hard work. Can't do it. I can't stay there anyway. These are thoughts that arise in your mind and you believe them. But they are thoughts that are designed to take you out of presence and to prevent you from returning to presence. They're not the truth. They are created by your mind to take you out of presence, that's all. So the mistake you made is you believed in those thoughts. So even the thought, screw it, is not the true thought. As Byron Katie would say, how do you know that's true? It's not a true thought, it's a thought that's there to take you out of presence and to make sure that you don't go back to it. And then another thought comes and says, what's the point? It's not working for me. Maybe it's working for others, but it's not working for me. All kinds of, you may be familiar with that kinds of self-talk in the head. Be very aware of what kind of self-talk happens in your head. Very interesting, because you can learn so much about the conditioning of your mind by listening to the way in which you talk to yourself. And everybody talks to themselves, and some people use the first person singular and talk as I, and many people use the you. They talk to themselves, addressing themselves as you. You are useless, aren't you? Why can other people do it, but you can't? Who is talking to whom? So you're creating a split in your mind, and one part of your mind talks the other part of your mind and calls it you. It's amazing. So recognize that the self-talk rarely speaks the truth. It's a form of conditioning that goes on in your mind, and it is associated with the ego, which does not want to go away. It wants to stay in charge, stick around. It knows what to say to take you out. But if you don't believe in every thought that arises, especially thoughts concerning presence, then you're free. The thoughts may still come, but you can say, oh, there goes a thought. You no longer comment on the thought, and this is interesting. You become, from the awareness, you can see and recognize the thought as a thought that your mind throws up without calling it anything. It's a bit like holding a mirror up to something that arises. That's the awareness. The mirror doesn't judge what arises, because if you criticize the thought that you just had, it's just more self-talk. And even if you say, why are you always having this self-talk? You should stop. You should by now. You should be beyond that self-talk. You've been doing spiritual work for years and you still can't get out of your self-talk. What's wrong with you? More of it. Yeah. So when you become aware of your self-talk, don't formulate judgments around the self-talk. You get just more of it. Don't criticize yourself. Hold up a mirror to it, and from there there's a knowing there in that awareness. You know that this is self-talk, and you know that it's not true without having to tell yourself through words that this is not true and this is self-talk. You just know. So this is in the same way that you can know, you can look at a plant or a flower. You know it's a flower, but you don't have to tell yourself this is a flower. You know it without formulating any words in your mind, any concepts. You can look at the sky, beautiful, vast, blue. You don't have to say to yourself, this is the vast blue sky and I'm looking at it. That's knowing through concepts and words. But there's another kind of knowing does not require words. You just know. And because you do not limit what you are perceiving through concepts, you can actually sense a greater depth in that which you are perceiving, whether it's the flower or the sky. You can sense a depth in it that goes beyond what you see on the surface of your sense perceptions. The depth becomes obscure to you when you look at everything through mental concepts. When you say, this is a beautiful, vast sky, you're still limiting yourself. The true perception does not happen until the words disappear and there's only the awareness and the perception. And in that, the sky is more than just the sky. It suddenly, because every concept reduces it. And you think the word sky is the sky. You know the painting, I think it's by Magritte, the painting of an apple. And he writes underneath, this is not an apple. Of course it isn't. It's the painting of an apple. In the same way that a word or a concept is not it. Krishnamurti said, when you teach a child the name of the bird, from then on the child will never see that bird again. Because the child then begins to substitute the concept for the direct perception, and there's a depth to the direct perception in which the bird is more than a bird. There's a depth to the bird, and you realize that life form is more than a bird. It just appears as a bird. And there's what I'm trying to put into words comes from a perception that is beyond words. That's why it's so difficult. So you see there's a depth to the flower and the sky and the bird that cannot be there when you look at it through concepts. You can feel the aliveness of the bird. You can sense its connectedness to the totality. You can sense its sacredness. You can sense it's beautiful. You could never realize that through concepts. So don't believe in the words that your mind throws up and that take you out of presence. That's the main lesson for you here, and it's a lesson for everybody, because everybody is burdened, and some people are plagued and tortured by their self-talk in a way that would be regarded as indefensible cruelty if somebody close to you did it to you all the time on a daily basis. I don't know what terms they use, the legal terms when you get a divorce, cruelty or inhuman cruelty or whatever, that would apply to your mind, that you have to live with when you are not aware enough. For other people, the self-talk can be extremely destructive and can make your life miserable, absolutely miserable. You don't know that's only the self-talk in it. You think that's your life. You think your life is miserable, not realizing it's your self-talk that makes your life miserable. I don't know whether to laugh or cry at this. Absolutely vital lesson, hold up a mirror, the mirror of awareness, to your self-talk, so that you realize it's no more than self-talk. In particular, if you've had predominantly negative or even 50%, and many people have 80 to 90% negative self-talk, then realize this is stuff my mind produces, and not verbally. You don't have to realize it verbally. It's the mirror of awareness, and you look and you know. Wow. And I've lived with that for so many years. And I've survived miraculously, even with that dreadful self-talk in the head. And because when you no longer identify with it, it begins to subside. It's only when you only empower it again and again when it takes you over so completely that you identify, it becomes you.
Okay, my friend. Well, I think that this is very useful because we are not aware of how destructive are our thoughts. And how you know the phrase that Socrates said, that is, know yourself. And this word, this phrase is what our masters takes, because it's the same as what they say to us. What is the main teaching? That they say that to discover or to find out what we really are, we have to what? We have to go within. And what is the way to know ourselves? To begin to observe our thoughts. This is the way of knowing ourselves. And when we begin to observe ourselves and our thoughts, a lot of things begins to arise. And what we see, we see our first. This made me to reflect on that for many, many years, I believed that the only way to know was through mental concepts and through words and through reading books. This was the only way to know something. And with this, what happens? Not with this, with meditation, we begin to realize that there is something that is far beyond the concepts. And that in fact, our mind, when we overuse it, nuestra mente cuando la usamos de más, digamos, instead of being a tool, en lugar de ser una herramienta, it becomes an obstacle that prevents us from a deeper learning. And you know that he gives the example, he gives many examples of nature, that what happens when we go to nature, and when we see the sky, and when we see a bird, and we can perceive the beauty of it. I'm sure that you have this feeling that you see something that you cannot describe with words. It's something more, it's the same that happens in meditation. That we say this union or this realization of the self, it's something more deeper. And in fact, how can we have access to this? Because there are no thoughts there, and we are not thinking. So I think that a very important thing is to, a first step, is to realize how our mind works. And he's very useful to make us realize this. O sea, es muy útil esto de ver cómo trabaja nuestra mente, ¿no? And this self-talk that we have, and he says that the problem are not the thoughts, the problem is that we believe them. And tell me a bit about your experience and how this self-talk condition our life until what happens? Until we begin to observe them. It's the same that as Mushi says, that you know that he always says us that we have to be learn to observe with detachment. And I don't know if you could realize that he gives the example of a mirror, and he says that we, as awareness, we have to observe the thoughts, but like a mirror, without judging them. But because what happens? Sometimes we can see our thoughts and we see that they are awful. they are telling they are telling us very bad things, and we engage in this self-talk. So he says, no, if you engage and you begin to criticize your thoughts, you are believing your thoughts. So you have to stay detached. Well, what is your experience? Tell me a bit.
I feel that that's for a while needs this kind of distortion and connection with the mind, and then I need rest in peace and silence, and in there is a call inside of all of us, natural, that's to go, ¿no? Nos lleva hacia adentro directamente.
Yes, to go within. To go
within. With effortless, and in the beginning, with effort, but more and more natural, the silence arise like form, but naturally the silence come because porque es lo que somos, ¿no?
Yes, it is what we are.
We need this, all of this, because to discern, no? To discern what is the mind, what is all of these thoughts and sensations, and not all thoughts, all of kind of emerge in this space of we are ¿qué es lo que somos, no?
What we we are, what we are.
Yeah, what
Yes.
we are. Because many times is nos fijamos solamente en los pensamientos, pero también son the sensation, the emotions, the all kind of things that appear in that we rechazamos, ¿no?
We reject.
Yes,
we reject all things that we reject. Yes. That's why he says that it's so important to be at ease in the present moment. What is to be at ease in the present moment? As it is said here. To accept what comes
and goes.
Yes. And to practice presence. But I think that it is very important to discover and to be aware of how it works. Because if we are aware, we can choose differently. And he says something very important. He says, you know that this mechanism of the mind is created to take us out of presence. Because the thoughts arises, and we believe them. But to dissolve this, and instead of engaging with the thoughts and focus here in our heart, when to begin to do this, we have first to be aware of how it works. And then, what is the first step? Meditation or contemplation. Because when we begin to observe, and here it comes something that you said, Pablo, at the beginning. You were saying that you are designing a meditation workshop for beginners. And tell me, because I'm sure that it is totally connected with this. What would you say a beginner that what he has, what is the technique, or what is the first step when you start meditating? What you have to do?
Sorry. I try to explain that you had to mind living in the present without thinking or act or fact. So only try to stay inside, in quiet, in silence. And I discussed with the other guy, because she want to put the workshop without religion and creencias. What is it, creencias? Beliefs. So I tell her no, because then when we arrive at another level, maybe you use the religion or belief to stay quiet in this moment. So you used to meditate, maybe found join Jesus, God, or another science. So we can not say without religion or believing, because it's another step of meditation.
Yes.
But when I listen to you, I make a little bit difference, because when you talk about the thinking and
The thoughts.
the thought, because we had bad thoughts, we ¿cómo se complican?
Yes,
How do you say?
that they he's
Making trouble the mind.
yes,
And
travel
we
the
had-
mind, to travel the mind.
to travel the mind, and we had another thinking that is creative. So
Creative, yes,
yes,
creative, but they arise from different places, completely different places. Because what happens when we have a creative thought? You have
Sorry, I can stop. Pablo, can you repeat in Spanish that what you said?
the meaning. Okay, cuando decimos de meditar, decimos a la atención plena, decimos estar en este momento interiormente sin pensar esos pensamientos que son negativos, que nos hacen rumiar, que nos hacen volver sobre lo mismo. Pero también cuando meditamos, y me pasa a mí cuando estoy nadando, tenemos pensamientos que son creativos, y esos pensamientos tenemos que dejarlos que fluyan.
yeah, but this creative thought comes from silence. And
yes.
and you know the difference. They are very, very different. They are when you have this thought, this creative thought, that's something that you have to do. You know, you have no doubt. It's something that you say, it is this. And for instance, now that you are designing the meditation workshop, maybe you start to meditate, and as you said, you are doing and how you mentioned something that is very important. You say, maybe when I was swimming, sometimes it happened. Why? And you equal swimming as meditation. Why? Because it is the same. When you swim, you are not thinking. And that is why this creative thought can arise, because you are not here. The energy is totally different, because when you are thinking, it is you know that Mushi says this, that mind is very complex and the heart is simple. And this, we call it thought, but it doesn't come from our mind. That is why it is totally different.
That's right, because I realized that when I swim, and I told to Jose I swim more than 50 years, so I swim like a movement automatically. So yes. It's like if fluid, like my body. So I can use my mind to think in other things, because the swim is like a natural movement.
Yes. That's it. And he
That's right,
talked,
Gary.
yes, and Eckhart Tolle mentioned this related to nature. That he said, when you see a bird or you see the sky, you don't made it into concepts. You don't say, oh, this is a beautiful sky. There is not talk in your mind. And that's why you can perceive it so completely and so fully, this beauty. And well, it is the same. In fact, we can, there is a kind of gateway. Gateway, what is a gateway? A gateway es como un portal que se abre, that opens when we are not thinking. Because what? Because there are no words. And in fact, we don't realize that words are a limitation. We want to, because what we were taught, o sea, ¿qué nos enseñaron? That all comes through words. And in fact, there is something that is beyond words and beyond concepts. And there is what God is, that is beyond words. And if we are so focused in our mind and in concepts and in words, we are missing this. Nos perdemos esto. Pero to achieve it, o sea, para lograrlo o to experience it, we have to stop this activity of thinking, of going to the mind and of engaging with the mind. At some, Jose said something that is very important also, that at first we have to make an effort. That is why, and to choose to devote some time to it. But then, what Eckhart Tolle wants to show us, something that is that then we can be in this meditative state, regardless what we are doing, sin importar qué estamos haciendo. And at first, it is a very good practice to start to be aware of what we do when we have this, when we are waiting or when we are traveling to somewhere, for example. Porque vieron que cuando nos pasa algo que surge, that arises in our present moment, that we don't want or we don't like, and it is unexpectedly, that if we go to somewhere and have to wait. For example, yesterday, when I went to the supermarket and there was a long queue, what happens? You instantly, immediately start to think, and this thinking, these thoughts get you out of the present moment. So he said, start to use these moments for being present. And what is to be present? To have this sense of being and of silence within you. Instead of engaging with your thoughts, you can use these moments to go within and to experience this of no thinking. And it's totally different. Because if you use these moments just to focus on your heart and without thinking, it will happen what you say. Creative thinking, a creative thought that comes from a place that it's totally different from this thinking too much. Because you know that the energy of the mind is totally different. It takes you, one thought takes you to another thought, and you become entangled. That's why Mushi used this word to be entangled in the mind. Porque es como una maraña, como una enredadera. ¿Vieron los pensamientos cómo nos toman? In the mind. Well, and that's, you remember that that beautiful video we watched of Papaji that talks about silence, and that she said that she says what you were saying, Jose, that our nature, our natural essence is silence. So we have to come back to silence. We have to, our great problem is that our mind has taken over, has taken over. You remember the phrase the other day, Jose, when you sent me the phrase you published, you posted on Facebook, that what was the phrase? God doesn't want to help. He wants to take over. Well, ¿te acordás esa frase, José, que me dijiste? Y what is to take over? Es hermosa esa frase. Que ¿vos cómo la tradujiste? Acordate, contale a Pablo.
Dios no quiere ayudarte, sino tomar el control. O
quiere hacerse cargo.
Quiere hacerse
Así.
cargo.
Entonces.
Quiere hacerse cargo significa que, porque a veces nos confundimos con que las cosas van a ir como queremos.
We ask for help to God,
Yes.
because we want things to go our way. But
hacerse cargo significa que te encuentres con Él en tu interior. Completamente. Después, lo que sea, whatever to happen without future, past, only pure present.
Yes, and here I remember that phrase, that what is to take over. Take over, vieron que en inglés tenemos muchos, ellos usan mucho los phrasal verbs. Y vieron que, por ejemplo, take quiere decir tomar algo. I take this. And take over quiere decir controlar o tomar completamente el control de algo. Que yo le decía a José el otro día, to take over es, por ejemplo, cuando los empleados hacen paro, they made a strike and take over a factory, por ejemplo. Decimos, the employees o the workers took over, tomaron la fábrica, took over the factory, por ejemplo. Bueno, here fíjense estas últimas oraciones que él dice, que la saqué del video, cuando él dice, when you no longer identify with it, it begins to subside. With it es con los pensamientos. que subside, ¿qué es to subside? Comienzan a menguar los pensamientos. Eso empieza a no ser tan fuerte la mente que nos habla tanto. Entonces dice, it's only when you only empower it again that it takes you over. O sea, cuando le creemos a los pensamientos, cuando le damos to empower it, cuando los empoderamos, es cuando ellos nos controlan. Entonces, we have to practice. That's why we come to the same again. Volvemos a lo mismo. That's why it's so important to practice meditation and contemplation. To go beyond words, to go beyond concepts, and to find and this creative thought. Como dijo Pablo. Well, my friends, so now we are going to practice this. Vamos a hacer para terminar, una meditación cortita de Mushi, a contemplation that is called, ahí se las muestro. Here. It is called quiet and blissful being. Quiet. We were talking about to be quiet, to be in silence. Here we are. Well, so let's blissful. You remember what is blissful? Bliss, bliss comes from it's the same as joy. Bliss es dicha. Entonces, quiet, he is associating quietness, silence with blissful. Para encontrar la dicha, tenemos que be silent, be in silence. So let's go for it. Okay.
Beloved, simply remain aware as the natural sense of being. It is already here. The natural sense, I am, is not personal. So there's no story, there's no background. It is just a sense of being. Be one with this. If thoughts should come, watch them with detachment, as though you're observing different kinds of clouds floating by against the infinite background of sky. This sky is the sky of awareness, our real self. Becoming more stable in the knowing that you are simply the awareness itself. The restlessness that normally happens in the mind will gradually subside. Simply notice this. But don't log in. Don't become interested or follow the mind. remain one with the sense of being, imageless, empty, silent. As you become more in love, in the joy of this great expanse of being, the intuitive power will arise. It will flood the mind field, quieten it, absorb the restlessness, and a natural trust and harmony will prevail in you. Continue to be attentive with an attitude of devotion, commitment, discipline. And the entire field of being will be grounded in this deep harmony of the self. You will know this. You will be this. There's no need to involve the mind. This deep knowing is the unchanging background of the restless mind and person. Thank you.
Friend. Just remember that this is something that we can choose wherever we are. les voy a decir como lo último así en español para que yo creo que es útil esto que nos dice Cartoles, porque como que nos lleva un pasito más allá de que también empecemos a darnos cuenta de que no solo podemos lograr este estado de meditativo y lindo de silencio cuando estamos meditando. También podemos de a poquito, si somos conscientes, if we are aware of this noise that comes in our mind, that we can choose. We can choose to follow this, or we can choose to stay here. It doesn't matter where we are. Y when something that we don't want to comes, arises in our present, instead of believing our thoughts, we can choose to not to engage and to stay here, bit by bit. And what will happen? Something miraculous, that we start to what? We start to fall in love with this silence, with this inner silence. And this is how our life is transformed and is changed. So let's persist and practice. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And well, have a very, very beautiful weekend.
The same to you, Jose.
And you are enlightened. The sun is shining over your head. Yes. What a beautiful sight of you. You are the chosen. Well, my friend, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.